Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to one of the largest investments that Erie County is making in any of its infrastructure during any period at the Woodlawn Sewage Treatment Facility. I'm Erie County Executive Mark Polenkars, and I'm joined here by a few representatives from county government, including Erie County Legislator John Mills, the minority leader, as well as the Commissioner of Public Works, or Commissioner, not Commissioner of Public Works, Commissioner of Environment and Planning, Dan Castle, as well as the Deputy Commissioner of Environment and Planning involved for sewerage management, Joe Fiegel. You'll hear from Legislator Mills and Joe Fiegel in just a few moments, as we're here to talk about, as I said, one of the greatest investments in Erie County's history in some ways, which is a $63 million investment in clean water through rehabilitating and renovating our sewage treatment facilities, plants, lines all across Erie County. You'll hear a little bit more about what we're doing from Deputy Commissioner Fiegel in just a moment. But I also want to thank the Town of Boston Supervisor Jason Ketting for joining us, as well as members of the Erie County Board of Managers for the various sewer districts. One little known aspect of county government is our ownership of various sewage treatment facilities across Erie County and the investments we have to make. Why do we do this? Well, there's various reasons that we do it, but one of the biggest ones is to ensure clean water. This plant takes in more sewage from Erie County than any other plant that Erie County owns and controls, and we have a number of them across Erie County. And eventually, the water is returned into Lake Erie. And we want to ensure the cleanest water possible in Lake Erie, so we have to continue to do investments in this facility that dates back decades. One of those investments is what you're seeing behind us, which is one of these giant Archimedes screws that are replacing Archimedes screws that are more than 40 years old. It's quite interesting that we have technology that's more than 2,000 years old for water displacement in the Archimedes screws still being used in these modern treatment facilities all across the world because they work. There's a reason why Archimedes was a genius. The technology that he came up with more than 2,000 years ago is still in use across the world, especially when it comes to water displacement and water treatment facilities. And that's part of what we're doing at this facility here, is replacing 42-year-old Archimedes screws that have reached the end of their life, very expensive on their own, but there's lots of other investments that we're doing. This is all part of funding that we received from the American Rescue Plan, as well as additional money that we put into it as part of our Renew Plan, re-energizing Erie's neighborhoods and employing our workforce. And this is how we're doing it. We're creating new and better infrastructure for our region. We're putting people to work associated with this project to ensure that not only are individuals being able to do the work of today, but that we can continue to do the work today and tomorrow of ensuring clean water for our region. I'm very proud that the Renew Plan investments are coming to fruition. There's a lot of companies that are going to, I should say, there's a lot of companies that are going to be involved in this project, but there's a lot of municipalities that haven't even really started doing their investments from the American Rescue Plan. We've been doing it for the last 2 years, putting people to work. It shows. We have the lowest unemployment rate ever in Erie County's histories on a month-by-month, year-by-year basis. We are seeing tremendous growth in our economy. Our GDP is greater than 5 states. It's greater than the countries of Panama, Lebanon, Iceland. Erie County is an economic powerhouse, and this project will continue because it ensures clean water not only for our residents, but for businesses in this area. So I want to thank the Erie County Board of Managers for our various sewer districts, including this one here, for approving the projects to ensure that we continue to invest in our community. And I want to thank the Erie County Legislature for investing in these projects, for understanding the need to put millions of dollars into these sewage treatment facilities. We have an obligation to protect our planet. We have an obligation to ensure Lake Erie remains clean after it unfortunately was dead for decades. And the best way we can do that are doing investments at our sewage treatment facilities. So thank you to the Erie County Legislature for its investment. Thank you to our Department of Environment and Planning and its Sewerage Division for all the work that they're doing to ensure that these plants are up to 21st century requirements, even if we're using technology that dates back to the 3rd century BC. With that, I'd like to introduce our partner in government, someone who's been very instrumental with regards to sewer districts, as a former member of the Board of Managers associated with the Erie County Sewer Districts, Legislator John Mills. Legislator.
Thank you, County Executive. And, good morning, and welcome to Sewer Treatment Plant in South Towns. I served on the board off and on for 38 years, so I have a little insight into what's going on in clean water back in the Lake Erie. This investment is sorely needed, and thank goodness we're getting it now. One of the economic drivers for this project is, of course, our new Bill Stadium that's being built. Also, is a little known secret out in the South Towns, town of Elma, called Steuben Foods, which came in back in the 80s to develop the Motorola plant that went defunct on us. And we put a main sewer line from the plant. It's a gravity-fed line that goes all the way down to this facility from Elma with a pump station on Miles Strip Road in the town of Orchard Park. Now that, last time I heard, the employment out there was almost 900 people. And it's a direct result of having the idea of putting in a trunk line to have this plant come in from New Jersey and develop here in Western New York, and specifically in Erie County. So it's all about clean water, but it's all about providing jobs in the future for our county. And this will go a long ways to doing that, because the infrastructure will be updated. And I can tell you, talking about sewers may not be the most sexiest thing we talk about this morning. But when you go to flush your toilet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We need to get that waste into the plant from areas that are using septic systems now, and clean up the ground that septic systems are using, and bring that down the plant for treatment. We really need to have this plant updated. And the years I spent down in this plant and the board of directors, I can tell you that the ratepayers pay for this, and ratepayers demand that we run this like a business. And this is truly run like a business, one of the few arms of government that truly runs as a business. And I'm happy that we're making this investment. It's so important to the future of our county. And I thank the county executive and the rest of the legislature for their support, because, you know, crying out into the desert, so to speak, when you're talking about sewers, because the pipes are in the ground. Nobody sees the pipes in the ground. You can flush your toilets, and everything is fine until it happens. You can't flush the toilet. You can't get rid of your wastewater. So thanks again to government for providing this to the taxpayers of Erie County. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator. Thank you, Legislator. As the legislator noted, this is not sexy. This is not what people think of when they think of government. But when the you-know-what hits the fan, when it comes to this stuff, people get angry. People get mad. And the individuals who ensure that it doesn't hit the fan are the great workers associated with our sewage management division, led by Deputy Commissioner Joe Fiegel. Joe's going to talk a little bit more about all the projects that are going on as part of the $60 million plus investment across Erie County. But I want to thank him and his team for the work that they do. They faced some stressful times in recent years. As some of the heavy rains, as well as that heavy snow that we had impacts at their sewage treatment facilities. But they've been able to keep them up and running so the you-know-what doesn't hit the fan, so that we can continue to do the work on behalf of the people here. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our Deputy Commissioner, Joe Fiegel.
Hey, good morning. First, thank you all for coming out to this facility. And I want to echo some of the comments that the county executive and Legislator Mills had said about the importance of the work that we do here. There's some statistics out there that say that half of that life expectancy increased by 20 years due to impacts associated with adequate sanitation and for the upgrades that are done because of proper wastewater treatment plants. And the work that folks that here at this facility and all across the country are doing to protect public health, protect water quality. Harken back to the 60s when Time Magazine declared Lake Erie dead. It's because of terrible conditions that ultimately the Clean Water Act was enacted and facilities like this were built to allow for that to occur. Now today we are the current stewards of this infrastructure, and we need to continually invest into it to make sure that we're protecting our waterways so that we continue to have clean water for us to drink from, to recreate with, to be able to fish, to do all those activities that folks love to do, and some of the greatest activities you can do in Western New York. And I thought it was absolutely amazing that the county executive and the legislature worked together to come up with a Renew plan and put $63 million of American Rescue Plan funds from the federal government towards these purposes. And we've done projects across the entire county. On the board here are some examples in every single county sewer district. A lot of times our infrastructure is out of sight and mind because it's buried. Well, we've rehabilitated or replaced over 300,000 lineal feet of sewer across the entire county. That's enough to stretch from one end to the other with plenty of room to spare. We have upgrades like the screw pumps behind me at various wastewater treatment plants. We have upgrades at our pumping stations. And again, not always the type of activities that you do a ribbon cutting at, but it's integral for everything that goes on with public health, the environment, our economy, all those type of things. The last folks that I really want to acknowledge are the folks in our department. When you have a project like this going on, it's sort of like trying to work on your vehicle while it's driving down the road. It's incredibly difficult, but the fact of the matter is, whether we have a piece of equipment that's being constructed or not, we have to continually meet those standards that we have to protect our waterways and make sure that public health is protected regardless of what's going on in the facilities. Also want to thank our engineering staff. When I went to them and said, we got about $63 million worth of work we got to do over the couple of years, there was a lot of worried faces across the room, but they've stepped up time and time again to manage those challenges, and it's a lot of work to make sure that we're keeping going, and I really think that they did an excellent job. And we still have more to come. And finally, the Sewer District Board of Managers, all the work that they do to support us and make sure that we have the resources that we need to be able to do our jobs. And that doesn't even get into the jobs that County Executive talked about, both with like our contractors and our engineering consulting firms and things like that. So I'm really happy to be here to talk about the work that's ongoing. We have more coming. We have an expansion project that we're going to be kicking off, hopefully in the next couple of years here at the plant. We should go above and beyond that $63 million investment, and a lot of exciting things to come, at least for those that are really engaged in this industry. So with that, I don't know if you can answer questions or...
Thank you, Joe. Once again, thank you to your team for the work that they do to ensure clean water for our community. And your engineering staff may not have been thrilled to hear they're going to have to spend a lot of money in a short period of time, but it's very rare in county government that anybody's not happy spending money. So we're glad that they're able to do it and do it in a great manner. With that, I'll turn it out to any questions from the media. We'll also be available for tours showing you the plant and the work that's being done now. So any questions from media? We turn it over to the Deputy Commissioner, Joe Fiegel.
So what we have behind us is an Archimedes screw pump. It's approximately about 8.5 foot diameter and 40 feet long, almost weighs about 15 tons. Very, very big piece of equipment. Actually, it was manufactured in Holland, had to come over on a boat, went through the port of Baltimore, got trucked up here. When it arrived on site, we were almost like kids on Christmas. You can see this enormous thing coming in on a low buoy, be unloaded. This is one of 3 Archimedes screw pumps that we are replacing here at the facility. Each one of these can pump 27.5 million gallons per day. It gives you a very, very large volume of flow. Essentially what it does, it turns continuously based upon the level of sewage at the base of it. Depends on how much it flows. So if there's a low level there, it has a lower flow. If it's a higher level, it's a higher flow. Very, very simple, elegant design, the genius of Archimedes, but obviously modernized for today's purposes. Yeah, Yeah, so, and again, I talked earlier and given kudos to our operation maintenance staff. The original pumps were in there for 42 and a half years. And we've replaced bearings, we've replaced the gearboxes and things like that. A lot of welding, taking them down, keeping them going. But eventually, in this type of environment, you can imagine in wastewater, like there's a lot of things that could be corrosive or eat away at metal and things like that. Eventually, after 42 years of use, they need to be replaced. And this was critical. So in the meantime, our operation main staff did a tremendous job making sure that they kept going. But eventually in the life cycle, you have to go through a full replacement. And that's where we are at this point. So we have 3 of the influence screw pumps are being replaced total. 2 of them are already installed. The 3rd is going to be installed starting later this week.
Is that it?
That's it.
Well, yeah, that's the pump, but that's not all the work that's being done.
Yeah.
We're doing work all across the county at the various sewer districts. This plant's going to have a massive overhaul, as the deputy commissioner noted, starting in the next couple of years. And this is the first major project associated with it. But we're investing in our clean water facilities to ensure that we continue to have clean water to drink, clean water for businesses. This, as was noted by the legislator, this plant provides sewage treatment facilities for a very sizable portion of our county and some of the largest employers as well. And they do a great job here. It's the part of county government that's kind of hidden. Most of it's underground, or the facilities, people don't think about it, but if it didn't go well, people would be very worried and upset about it. We have a great team here doing wonderful work, and hopefully you'll get an opportunity to see a little bit of that screw in action from the 2 that they've already replaced. And we could talk a little bit more about inside the work that's done here in an area that people drive by, thousands drive by every day. They kind of know what goes on here, but they never set foot in it. And so it's an behind-the-scenes opportunity to see one of the most important functions of government at work and why we're investing in it.
So those are all independent entities, right? They all self-sufficiently not tied together in ways. So it's typically harder to kind of manage the budget process.
The sewer districts, you mean? Well, the sewer districts are all controlled under the Sewage Management Division of County Government's Department of Environment and Planning. The Board of Managers, some of which are here today, help make determinations on the investments that are going to be made, the costs that'll be passed on to the ratepayers, because the ratepayers in the district are the ones who pay the costs. So if you don't live in a sewer district, you don't actually pay for the costs associated with it, the delivery of the product, so to speak. So the Board of Managers are involved, but there's tremendous involvement from the department as well as my office and the legislature on an annual basis to determine what we're going to be investing and how much is going to be charged per district. If you have no other questions, well, if anybody wants to go, we'll show you a little bit about the facility. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thanks for being here. Jason.
See you.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.